Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is having a great Black Friday and buying many games on Steam, wasting your money like you should. And today I decided that since we're in a capitalist consuming holiday, I was going to talk about the recent AI investment in the industry and what I think is going to be its effect on gaming and the machine that's moving behind the scenes that most people aren't really aware of. So, I know that recently there has been this Bloomberg image going around that shows all the investment that's being done in the AI scene, and I wanted to give my take on how I think this is going to eventually lead to a AAA industry crash. This might seem like a doomer opinion, but what I really want to put out with this video is my thoughts on what is going to happen, just so I can use it as proof in case it really happens. So let's talk about one of the first examples of how this is going to affect AAA gaming with the most recent price hikes in RAM sticks. So, if you don't know, every PC needs RAM to work, you need RAM to do things on your PC, and it used to be something that wasn't really a big expense when it comes to PCs. But since it's on high demand for AI, the prices have been shooting up, and it's now become pretty much unaffordable to grab even 32 gigabytes of RAM for a PC as it used to do back in the day. And as you can imagine, all of these price hikes leads to the casual consumer not being able to build a PC. And not only PCs, but this will also have a huge effect on consoles. As you can imagine, consoles are like PCs that are designated for gaming, and they also need components like these to work. So if prices shoot up, everything else goes up. Computers, consoles, and everything you can imagine that plays a game. The next thing I want to talk about is budget in AAA gaming. Budget in AAA gaming in recent years has been shooting up higher and higher and higher. When documents came out on the lawsuit behind Call of Duty becoming an exclusive and being bought out by Blizzard or Activision Blizzard, there were values being thrown around that showed that there were investments made that made the budget for the Call of Duty franchise go up to values so absurd that they were even close to the $1 billion mark. Now, if you think for a second here with me, the higher the budget that the game has, it's harder for the companies to make profit. And this is where I think that the industry is going to have an inevitable crash. Most recently, we saw with Nintendo Switch 2 that games are getting more expensive with every year that passes, at least when it comes to the AAA industry. With tech prices such as the RAM example that I just gave you becoming higher and higher, and the people that can actually play these games when it comes to the hardware requirements becoming smaller and smaller, becomes even lower because people will eventually just turn to live service options that they know they can run with the hardware they already own instead of buying the new stuff that has stupid hardware requirements. I mean, we saw stuff such as Forspoken, a game that was highly criticized when it came out, have requirements of a NASA PC that was so expensive for the average consumer when it came out, and it made no sense for everyone to build a PC like that to play a game that wasn't even worth it. And as you can imagine, with less people buying the games because they can't actually play them, profit margins are going to go way down, and companies might even be producing games at a loss at some point. And they have one or two options they can take when it comes to making back their money. Option number one would be to roll back on the price increases in recent years in AAA gaming. So we would see the $80 mark not even be fully implemented and us going down to the $60 or around that for a AAA game that would make games more readily available to the average consumer, but it still wouldn't fix the tech price. That leads me to the second option, which is the one I would personally prefer because inflation is inevitable, but one thing that companies could do is change their focus towards optimization. We've seen time and time again that games right now have amazing graphics. They are at least in my mind reaching a peak where I honestly don't know how they can evolve anymore. And one route they could take is optimizing them a lot so even the most basic PC or console could run any game at a stable and good frame rate. But we have to keep in consideration that these are all the positive outcomes of what is going to happen, because we could also see it going the other way around in a negative way, which could mean a full transition into live service, which would mean less games coming out on a yearly basis and the money being made fully from microtransactions and no new games coming out and them investing fully into the live service route. And the other one would be cloud gaming, which is one I definitely hope doesn't happen because cloud gaming has things such as delay, and it comes with the added problem of digital ownership, which is already very sketchy, and you not even owning the digital license for your game would make it even worse because you wouldn't be running it out of your hardware. So not only don't you own it, but you don't even have the files for it to preserve it if you eventually wanted to do so. So to sum it up, all that I want to say is that AI is causing tech prices to go up. Those tech prices are becoming harder and harder to keep up with for the average consumer, and games are becoming more and more demanding on the hardware side. All of this makes it so people cannot afford PCs or consoles, at least the next ones that are coming out in future years. They can't buy the new games because they can't even run them or have machines to run them, and profit margins go down, and the industry has to do something about it. I'd love to hear what you think about this. Sorry for not recording a lot of videos in recent days, but I deserve a vacation from time to time to play games and travel. Other than that, I'm out.